Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to today's video. I really wanted to talk about the ego today and how the ego is misunderstood and how it can be one of the greatest tools to use in life. It could be one of the greatest powers. It could be one of the greatest driving force behind your creativity, the foundation of your world, the foundation of your creativity. A lot of the time in spirituality and just in life in general, people will say, eliminate your ego, have an ego death, you shouldn't have an ego, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the time, what they really mean by that is the attachment to the ego, the attachment to the identity that they attach with the ego. But we're gonna get to that. But the ego is basically just an identity, and every single person has it. It comes in many different forms. Anytime that you say the words I, my, mine, what else? My, did I already say that? Yeah, any personal pronouns. Anytime you say I'm hungry, my name is da 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 da, that's your ego creating an identity. That all the things that you can say your personal pronouns with is your identity. And that's why people say to have an ego death, because it's the attachment to those things that are actually not necessarily us that ends up hurting us. And that's why we need to detach from these things in order to transcend, but then use the ego in a conscious way. Okay? The ego can be anything. It could be your religion, it could be your race, it could be just your name, your ethnicity. Those are the bigger things. What I mentioned before, as in saying I'm hungry, this is my ring, this is my ring, these are my rings, this is my shirt, this is my necklaces, this is my hair. Those are things that people do not pay attention to. But those are all part of the ego. See, there's a huge misconception about having an ego death, because you can have an ego death, but you're gonna come right back. Because even just saying I don't have an ego, that's ego. Because you said I don't have an ego. You gotta have an ego to be existing in form. And see, that's the thing. That's the exact reason why we even came here in the first place, is to experience. And so to push away something that we literally came here to experience makes no sense at all. So as you guys should know by now, everything is one. Everything is one. There's no separation between me, the camera, you behind the screen, you and the toilet you're sitting on, you and the bed you're sitting on, you and the phone you're holding, the device you're holding, the computer you're watching, the room that you're in, the trees, the universe, the ground, the sky, the air. There's no separation. Everything is just frequency tuned to different vibrations to appear as different things. Okay? And so anyways, see, to have an ego death and to completely detach yourself from all external things, and external things means your body too, to be completely detached, in a sense, it's good, because you should be detached, because you should know that it's temporary. You should know that this is not you, this is not all of you, none of this is you. But to be able to enjoy it and indulge it in a healthy way, to use it to experience this world in a healthy way that benefits your mind, that benefits your experience, that benefits the life you're experiencing. Everyone who says that you should just be egoless and not have an ego literally doesn't make any sense, because that's just you returning back to nothingness, literally, to just the void of just pure consciousness, which is literally a blank wall of possibility, which is good, because then you could create, but then that's creating ego. See, if this wall was just blank, it doesn't get to experience art. And so in order for there to be an I am, there has to be something, aka the 3D form, aka this experience, aka different feelings, emotions, and all of this is to say I exist. This wall exists because this wall is basically saying I exist because it's in 3D form. It's existing. I do exist. But obviously it's not a person, but like if we didn't want to experience, then we wouldn't be in this 3D form. And it's really funny. Like I just find it so funny how people glorify not having an ego. You really can't not have an ego. You can't, unfortunately. Actually, that's not even unfortunately because it's a blessing. We are the undefinable, and this experience, this 3D body, is us being able to be definable, being able to say, I am. And so, anyways, I know all of you have probably heard that one Bible verse in the Bible where God says, I am the I am. I'm gonna leave that to you to figure out. But, anyways, it's important to realize this because this is when you can step into game mode. Once you realize that none of this is actually you, once you realize that all of this is just consciousness, just experiencing itself, that's when you can detach, but then choose to create more. See, it's different when you attach yourself to something. For example, if I were to be attached to this shirt, go shop, it's from my brand, link in bio, description, I mean. If I was to be attached to this shirt and I just got a bunch of paint all over it, and or I don't know, it fell in a fire or it got destroyed somehow or I lost it. If I was super attached to this shirt and I was saying, oh, this is my favorite shirt, this is from my brand, I love this shirt, this brand is me, part of my identity, da 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 da. Now, since I've lost this part of my shirt, since I've lost my shirt, I feel like I've lost a part of myself. But see, that's the thing. You can't lose a part of yourself. Anything that you can lose is not actually you. You gotta realize it's just this experience. And see, that's just the tip of it though. That is just the 3D, okay? That is just a 3D and what we can experience in the 3D, and you know, being detached and not being affected by external things. But see, when it comes to certain statements such as I am lazy, I am broke, I am, what else? I am ugly, I am shy, I am blah blah blah. Oh, hold on, I gotta change my battery. Okay, boom. As I was saying, when it comes to your statements and your words and what you say you are, that's another way of you placing yourself in a word, placing your being in a word. And see, that's the thing. This is what I meant by game mode. You get to choose what you are. And you might be thinking like, oh, like, I don't know, like, it's so hard, I can't just choose to I can't just choose to be productive. What are you telling yourself? What have you convinced yourself in your mind? What has your ego convinced yourself that you are? What identity has your ego attached itself to? Attached you to? You gotta realize that that is not actually you. That's just your ego creating an identity, because an identity is familiarity, and an identity is something that you can, it's a sense of safety, because then you understand that it's comfortable. That identity is a comfort place. Even if it doesn't feel good, it's familiar. When you begin to reprogram your mind and start to believe in other things, such as you're confident, you're beautiful, you're magical, everything like that, that's creating a new identity in your mind. That's creating a new place of operation in your mind. And see, when you have an identity, your world is just going to reflect that. Your world is going to reflect the identity that you are identifying with. If you believe that you are a lazy person, you are a broke person, all your thoughts, all your actions, Everything is going to follow that. And that's why on my channel I'm so big on identity, because that is the trick. I feel like that is the blueprint. I don't really like to say that there is a blueprint, because you just really make up the rules for real, but like in a way, it's like when you create an identity for yourself in your mind, that's not you being delusional. People be saying, oh, be Delulu, be Delulu. No, you're actually just shifting to being a different person. Does a rich person become rich because of their money? Or do they become rich because of the person that they are? They could be down low, homeless. But if they had the mental of, I am a rich person, I am a person who gets money, I am a person who is confident, I am a person who can talk to people, you think that they're going to stay in that situation for very long? No. Because their reality will reflect what's going on up in here, what they believe themselves to be. And so that is a trick to this game of life, because that is the thing that we all came here to do and what we all came here to experience. And so to push that away is to push away the very game that you wanted to play in the first place. Okay? The reason why I explained that we are infinite consciousness at the beginning was because you need to realize that when you are infinite, that means that you are limitless. That means that there is no limit to what you can be. And so for you to say, I can't do that, you're just putting a limit on the limitless. You gotta realize that you can do anything because you are everything. That's what all of this is. Like, you are everything. In all of my calls, one thing that I've noticed in every single one of my calls, in my client calls that I have, my one-on-one calls, you can book in the description below. But one thing that I've noticed in every single one of those calls, one main problem that each of them had was their own self-talk and their own belief system in their mind that they are following, this narrative, this identity that they're following that keeps them closed. And see, that's the thing as well, because some people will also realize that they are limitless, that they are infinite, but then they will stop right there and they will not use that. They will not use the fact that they are limitless and they can create and they can do anything. And they'll stop there and they'll just be in awe about that. Where there's no problem with that. But then they'll still have problems with certain things, like their sense of self, their confidence, everything. And it all comes down to what you believe and what you're identifying as in this real world. Because the thing is, you are human. You are human. A lot of people, a lot of spiritual people will get caught up in this God mindset and everything like that and da 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 da. You gotta realize that you are human and you gotta make your mind believe certain things to be certain things. Once you believe something, once you shift up in here, that's when you can shift. Some people will come to that conclusion that they are infinite consciousness and everything like that, but they'll never get down to the deep roots of what they're truly telling themselves in their mind, because it may be subconscious, it may be stuff that they may have not really dove deep in, because this is something that has been engraved in them since they were a child, being taught by their parents, being taught by the people around them, absorbing all different types of thoughts. Be in a state of the observer, be in that state of consciousness to observe your mind, to observe the identity that you're creating for yourself, and take that, see it, then realize that you can create something else. You can trash the other one and create something else. You can't, it may be hard to get rid of certain patterns and certain things, but it's the awareness. See, that's the experience. You can't hate on yourself for having impurities. You can't hate on yourself for having flaws and not being perfect, because that's exactly what we came here to do, to experience and to not be perfect. And so you just need to, it's just one foot in front of the other. Take it, see it, acknowledge it, forgive it. Sometimes you'll have to forgive yourself for being a certain way, saying certain things, acting a certain way. But realize that you can create. You can create and make something out of a blank canvas. See, when you step into that state of consciousness, okay? This is consciousness, blank. Once you step into that state of consciousness, now there is every possibility for expansion, for creation. I could be a white screen right now, just talking. But no, I'm a person who has hands, who has a shirt, who has hair, who has jewelry and everything. Once you realize that you are infinite consciousness, that's when you can create. That's when you can step back and then step forward in a different direction. Because now you're creating. You're not operating on autopilot. See, the ego death is good when you're operating on autopilot. When you're operating on autopilot, you are unconscious of what you truly are. You think that you are this body. And that's why people will get so offended with certain things. And that's why certain people hate on certain groups of people, because they're attached to these external things, because they think that these things define who they are, but it really doesn't. That's why people have attachments to materialistic things, because they think that that defines who they are. If I have 20 Gucci bags, 20 Louis bags, 20 Chanel bags, that means that I am worthy. That means that I am, valid. All of that can be taken away. Anything that's external from you can be taken away. And that's why you can't let anything external from you define who you are or attach yourself to external things, because then you're just gonna be hurt whenever those things leave. You see, it's not a bad thing to have a lot of things. It's not a bad thing to have a Lambo. It's not a bad thing to have expensive bags, expensive shoes. It's not a bad thing at all, actually. People who say don't have materialistic things, because it's bad. It's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when you think that that thing defines who you are. See, I could have a huge wall of cash right here, and I know that that doesn't define who I am, and that doesn't make me any better of a person. It's when I have this stack of cash, and now I think, oh, I'm better than this person, I'm better than da-da-da-da. That's the line. But you give meaning to all these different things in life. You give meaning to the way that you dress, the way that you see things in the world, your house, your possessions, everything. You give meaning to it. It doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't have any meaning. You give meaning to it, which is not a bad thing at all, because in a way, that's just the game that we're in. That's just the game that we're in. And we get to choose, like I said, we get to create the rules. We get to choose the rules. We get to choose what rules we abide by, what rules apply in our world, what do we want to follow, who do we want to be, how can we create our world. I also think it's fine to get excited and to dive deep into this human experience and to do things that are humanly, because that's what we came here to do. But it's all about being centered and knowing that none of that defines who you are. Like, you can't lose yourself in that stuff. It's okay to play the game, but you can't be forgetting that you're the one that's playing it. You can't forget that you're the one that has the controller in your hands. You can't be thinking that whatever you have in this game, whatever da 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 defines who you are, because no, you're the person that's actually playing the game. And you're in control of the game, and you can create stuff in your game, and you are limitless. And you are actually also not the game, but you are the game at the same time, because you're everything. But anyways, sometimes when I'm having an artist block or a writer's block, or I'm not able to tap into the highest form of creativity that I feel like I could, I start observing what I'm actually telling myself. Because usually when I'm feeling that way, I will start telling myself, I can't think of anything. I can't, I don't have any ideas right now. I'm not as smart as this person. My ideas are not that great. Da 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 da. And once I realize what I'm telling myself, what I personally need to do, I need to slow down. I need to calm down, let myself feel better, because your body needs to feel safe. And then I'll realize that I can actually change my thoughts. I start feeding myself different things. Even if it feels kind of untrue in the moment, it becomes true when I decide it to become true. And so once I keep telling myself these affirming things and implanting these new thoughts in my head, these new beliefs, then my mind starts to think in different ways, like, oh wait, I'm thinking this thought so many times, maybe I do have good ideas, maybe da da da. You just gotta give yourself the chance. You just gotta give yourself the chance of believing in yourself. You gotta give yourself the chance of the possibility of change. Sometimes people don't even give themselves the chance to change the way that they are. They just be accepting the way that they are and just think like, oh, this is just the way that I am. I gotta be this way forever. Da 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 da. Like I'm just stuck here. And they just keep on saying, I can't do this. I don't know why I can't do this. I this. Maybe because you're identifying as that. It's really that simple. And the reason why I said focus on making yourself feel better when you become aware of these things, when you become aware of these thoughts, because it's a lot easier to change your thoughts when you're in a better state of mind, when you're in a better emotional state, I should say. Like if you're feeling really mad and upset, it might be a little bit harder to say, I am so happy, I am so grateful. Like, obviously, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying be aware. Okay, cool. You're aware that you're identifying with all these different things. Step back, calm down, make your favorite tea, watch a funny show, meditate, and start to tell yourself the things that you actually want to be. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want your reality to look like? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? What do you want your self to look like? Start to tell yourself these things. And it will begin to change in your reality, because you are changing your identity. You are changing your identity, and so you are changing as a person, literally. Like I said, the rich person isn't rich because of their money. They're rich because of who they are. But the ego is your greatest power. The ego is such a strong power because you can be anything that you want to be. I started to shift in here once I started to tell myself that I was an amazing YouTuber. Okay. Like I said, I always say this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it every time. But I used to write so much in my book and not believe in myself, and I would not be able to talk on camera like I'm talking right now. That was unheard of for me, okay? And that wasn't even that long ago. So it's not like I just randomly, it's not like I took speaking lessons and now I'm really good at talking. No, it was literally all in here. I would literally stutter, you guys you wouldn't see this because I would cut it out. But I would literally stutter. I would not be able to say a sentence properly. I'd have to say it multiple times. It would take a long time to record. And it was all the talk, and it was the identity that I was believing in my head of who I was. I believed that I couldn't. I wasn't the type of person to do that. I was telling myself, I can't talk on camera like that. I can't just speak on camera. But now, I don't care because I know that I am. It's a knowing thing. That's another thing. You can't just believe something, you gotta know it. It's one thing to believe, but it's another thing to know. And knowing is when you solidify it. Knowing is when you truly step into that identity, like know it. Once I shifted that belief to I am an amazing YouTuber, I can make connections easily, I was finding people left, right, up and down, like people that resonated with me, people online that resonate with me. I'm making new friends. My relationships, all aspects of my relationships are 10 out of 10. Like, it wasn't until I started to identify differently that started to change. And obviously, yes, there are certain life situations that happen, but it literally all starts from within. You have to start from within. Okay, I don't know why my battery keeps on dying. I hope I have all my footage, but thank you so much to everyone shopping for my brand. I appreciate you guys and love you guys so very much. And I've been seeing you guys post some pictures in your shirts, and like, it just makes me so happy. And yeah, I love all you guys, and I am so appreciative of all the love that I'm receiving. If you would like to book a call with me, you can book in the description down below. This is the first link. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for holding this space with me. I appreciate you, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love, y'all.